Okay, welcome back to the second Spiral Spy tutorial by Tovok. This is Tovok, and first thing you'll notice is I lost my old knight that I was working on with you guys last time. So, in this tutorial, I'll be covering how to build sets, and in the next, I'll show you how to edit and save your characters. So, what we're going to do right now, since we're making a new set, is the first thing you need to know about sets is it's a really meticulous process. It takes a long time, so I'll show you some shortcuts and we'll see how it goes. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go up to the bar at the top of the screen. I'm going to go to edit. Toolbar is going to pop, scroll bar is going to pop down. I'm going to click on preferences, and you'll see this new window pop up. Now what I like to do is I like to have the full effect of my preferences, so I'll fit it to the side of the screen. I guess it doesn't fit by default, so I'll just use old-fashioned methods. I like to fit it to the side of the screen, and first thing you'll notice is that you can change the color of the background to all these annoying, really vibrant neon colors. We're going to leave it gray for now because I'm actually going to show you a much better system. For now, I'm going to go up back into the main window, go back up to the toolbar at the top, click on View right next to Edit, and you'll see I have some options here. Now, you can play around with the options, and they'll show all kinds of new things up on the screen, but I'm turning everything off. So there's a compass that shows you where you're looking so you don't get confused. There's a grid that'll help us later, we'll bring that back up later. And there's some bounds, and you can even edit to choose to see environment. So that environment will show all your preferences that you've put on the screen. So you go back to the preferences window, and you're going to go down and click New Environmental Model. Now, under Environmental Model, you'll see much like how we've been editing our knights, there is a config option. You go to config. But this is different. It's going to start you out the last place you were at. So with this guy, I was in accessories, bomb bundle. So I'll go up. It'll be front, armor, accessory. I'll keep going up, gear, item, and now I'm back to our main panel, our RSRC, which I've come to know as resource, and it has all the resources you need for Spiral Knights. So we're going to come back up to here. This is going to be your main file where you're going to find everything in the game. Everything is right here. If you go up any more, you're going to if you go up any more, you're going to see some other files, and you're just going to confuse yourself. So try to stay in at RSRC or resource. Now, at the very end of all our little files here, you'll see world. You want to double click on world. You want to go into your skyboxes. This is a fairly simple set that will help you if you're focusing on just making a new model, to get rid of this gray, gross background that you're just sick of looking at. You're going to click on the model viewer option, and you're going to pick model.dat and just double click on it, or go down and click open, and it's going to bring up the model viewer world. Now, this world automatically generates a ground that fades into black, which is really nice when you just want to edit with your files. And you can even see how they look on different textures. You have graveyard, grass island, day, lost castle, and you have some white space tiles at the bottom. So I'm just going to stick to stone right now. But actually, I'm even going to go so far as to click out of the model viewer system because we're building a set right now. So you go out of the model viewer, but you're still going to need a skybox because you don't want that crappy gray stuff. So you're still in all the skyboxes, and let's say this set's going to be in the Clockwork Tunnel. So you click on Clockwork Tunnels. It's fairly simple, and then you're going to go under Models. You open up your model, model.dat, sorry. You'll have your variant selector when the model actually loads. Mine's loading slow because I'm uploading the last video at the second. It won't actually go this slow in real time. So I'm just, for my own preferences, I'm going to pick deconstruction because I like the black and the orange. I like Halloween colors. So we have the deconstruction zone background of Clockworks, and it just changes the color scheme So you have surface clockworks and cold clockworks, etc. But I'm going to keep it as deconstruction for now. So what we do if we want to make a simple scene, I'm going to show you really small, really basic scene making, as to not overwhelm you with information. So you're going to go and make another new environmental model, go under config. This time you're going to click out of the world file. You want to get back to your RSRC file. You can, so just go back up, and now we act. So you're actually going to go back into your world file. Sorry, I spoke too soon. You want to stay in the world. Now, instead of clicking on Skybox this time, you want to use your tile sets. So you go into your tile sets and you find the clockworks you want to use. You find So you go into your tile set and you find the variant that you want to match your skybox. So we're doing clockworks. I'm going to pick clockworks. And then I have a bunch of options here. You have 4. You have floor, fences, edge rails, and walls. And I'll show you what each one of them are, and I'll show you how to move them around in the set. So I'm going to start with a floor, because my knight is floating right now, and it'll bring you to floorbase.dat. Sometimes they have several files. You'll have to figure that out on your own, but this one has one, so it's fairly simple. Now, as always, they always have a variant, and floor tiles are just a pain in the butt, and they have a bunch. So you'll have to play with that again to see every single option you have. But I'm going to go down because I know my way around, and floor plate 5 is my favorite one to use. Now, this is where we're going to bring back up the grid. The grid's going to help you in spacing your tiles. And I'm going to show you how to not have to place so many tiles, because as you see, one tile is one grid marking, and it can get rather tedious. So what I generally do is I try to stay between 1 and 3 size scale. You'll see down here in the preferences window that there are transform options. Transform is how you actually move your object. So if you click and hold on the up or down arrow on any direction, it'll move it in that direction. And we'll actually bring our compass back up in our main window by going to view and then going down to compass, and that will help you determine what letter corresponds with the direction. So as you see, the compass is saying X is the horizontal plane, Y is the forward and backwards, and Z is the vertical plane. So Z in our transform will make the tile go up, set it back to 0, it'll stay flat on the ground where it should be. Now, back to what I was getting at, I like to stay between 1 and 3 scale when I'm making these floor tiles, because if you make them too big, the textures will go away, and especially with plates like this, you kind of need the texture. So I'm going to scale it to 3, and it will obviously get bigger, and it fills 3 times the spaces. So now it's filling approximately 9 grid squares. So positioning this under your knight now is fairly easy. I've learned for sets, you don't need to play with the rotation tools. They'll just rotate the tile, and we'll get to what you actually need to use rotation tool for later. But you use the translation on your transform, and it will move the tile. Now, it's snail mail clicking one at a time in any direction, and it takes forever. Holding it is better, but it still doesn't get the job done. So what I do is I click on an arrow, and you can actually drag in one direction or the other, and it moves a lot more smoothly, it moves a lot more quickly, so you can actually make your sets a lot faster. So just, if you can see my mouse, you just drag in one direction or the other, left or right, and while holding down on that arrow, and you'll notice how much faster it moves. So that's how you make a basic floor plate. Now, moving on, we still have a couple more items to cover, so I'll try to cover them really fast here. We're gonna put everything on this, so we're gonna utilize all 4 things. Now, when you're shooting something like a comic, like you might have seen my comic, Taking It in Stride, it's kind of weird to have just a floating platform. So what you want to do is you want to go into your edge rails, and you have the edge busted set for Clockworks, which is busted rails. It's a set certain type of rail. You don't want busted ones, you want normal ones. So you go into rail, you bring it up, And it's going to start on your 0 position, and rails are weird because these are all built to be seen from Spiral Knight angles, like this. So sometimes if you look at them from below, you'll see cracks. Now, if you just bring it back up to the default angle, and you can use the translation tools like I taught you before, and bring it forward. Now I know my way around, so you use the variation tool, and you pick the rail that you actually want. And if it has, you can read the file names, and some of them are by default larger than others, and the textures are set just right. So rail catwalk times 3 means it's 3 times as big as a normal catwalk piece. So I'm just going to put it in position here, and get it perfectly angled with that. Checking the specs on my other item to line them up perfectly, because the translations are going to equate to one another. So now I've got it all where I want to go. Normally you make more to make it not look so weird and floating by itself, but this will do, and that kind of gives you, if you want to make a camera angle or a certain scene, you can actually look at your knight and not have weird floating blocks. Yeah. Okay, so now our knight needs a backdrop so you don't just see into the foreverness of the skybox. So we're going to give him a wall behind him. We're going to open up the wall palette. I think these roof gears are spinning cogs. They're weird items. Sometimes you'll find really weird items in there with your sets. You just need to look for what you're looking for. And it's normally straightforward, as I've said before, as to what everything is. So you go into wall.dat and you get your walls. So the walls are really small and kind of annoying. As I said before, there's a times 3 option. So there's times 3 and times 2, and they'll be a lot larger to scale. For walls and edges, it's a lot more important to stay to normal scaling, because when you actually edit the scale tool, you'll end up with walls that should be in a giant's home. Like, example here, make this wall size 5, and it's super thick now and oddly proportioned. So you normally just, to extend length, you want to use those times 3 options like I said before. So you're going to move this object to where you need it. It's already set to the 0 scale, but for me it always looks like they're floating, so I like to move the Z down a little bit. So as I said before, using that translation tool, Z is vertical, and I've just moved it down into the plate a little bit. There's no weird clipping, and it kind of looks nicer. It doesn't look so floaty. And I've positioned it with all the other tools. And you might be wondering what fences are. They're in the game. They're basically another form of walls, but I'll play with them here. I'll do a fence high so you can see it better. They're like the columns you see in certain levels, and sometimes they can be piping. I think there might be some pipes in here. What is this? There's, yeah, weird see-through walls. And then if I go to fence low, there's some ones that look like pipe. Let me see if I can find it. I think it's just at the end here. Yeah, they look like piping, and they'll just look like other things, and it kind of just adds some variation to your map wherever you want to put it. It's not too important, but those are fences. And that should be everything you need to know for for altering your environments. Now, just one last note, I want to say that going back to that rotation tool, if you want to make a Calliowampus environment or something look destroyed, the rotation tool just allows you to rotate your object. So you have to play with the axes because they're normally set in weird ways. Like, you'll see this one spinning on its corner. Sometimes they're spinning in their center. So you just have to play with where the axis is, and just see how you'd like everything to be positioned. If you want something to look messed up, you can change it to make it look messed up. Or sometimes, as I said before, there's specific ones, like if you go into edge rail busted, you'll get these busted rails that show up. So there's already some destruction variance in your options. So you don't always have to be so self-reliant on everything. So it's just looking through the program and seeing what it has for you to play with. Now, that's all for preferences. In my next episode, I'll be showing you how to save this little bugger right here so you don't always have to come back and make a new knight. I'll also be showing you how to switch textures on his armor, and I'll be showing you how to permanently add items to the model itself.